Christopher Columbus across the Caribbean Sea, we arrive at the picturesque old port of La Guaira, gateway to Venezuela, where Columbus himself once found haven and rest during his third voyage of discovery. And as we transfer from our ship to automobiles and start our ascent of the circuitous road that leads over the mountains to Caracas, we are inspired with the thought of being on the soil of Valiant Venezuela, the first of the South American republics to break away from the bondage of the old world. Along the road, we pass a gruesome but effective warning to motorists, which means, in all languages, drive carefully. For 23 miles, the La Guaira-Caracas road winds its way over the mountains through inspiring scenery like this. And finally, after 3,000 feet of steady climbing from the sea, it leads us to the inland metropolis of Caracas, capital of Venezuela, and one of the most progressive cities in South America. Caracas, which is named after an Indian chief, was founded in 1567, and it claims the distinction of being the first colony to overthrow Spanish authority in South America. But in so doing, it managed to maintain and develop the more constructive contributions of its mother country, including Spanish architecture, the Spanish language, and Spanish culture, so that today it is a typical Spanish city with over 200,000 inhabitants. One of the largest and most pretentious hotels in Venezuela is the Hotel Jardín at Maracay, built under the long regime of the late Juan Gomez, former president of the country, who seemed to specialize in the building of modern hotels. And it is in this tremendous hostelry that we meet a little girl who entertains us with her idea of a South American dance. Venezuela is rich in natural resources, being endowed by nature with vast reserves of petroleum and minerals, in addition to thousands of square miles of arable soil, devoted to the cultivation of abundant supply of variegated agricultural products, not the least of which is cane sugar. According to statistics, the countries which consume the largest amount of sugar per capita are Australia, New Zealand, the United States, and Denmark. Almost 6 million tons of sugar are consumed annually in the United States, and at least half of it is grown and obtained in this primitive manner. There are 200 or more lakes in Venezuela, and one of the largest and best known of these is Lake Valencia, covering an area of over 200 square miles. Every true-born Venezuelan is a sportsman by nature, and he points with pride to the many fine sporting clubs which characterize his country, providing centers for the cultivation of sport and diversion. At the Caracas Country Club, we observe traditional dancing, somewhat in the manner of old Spain. In the colorful faces of the people, it is not difficult to trace the features of the early Spanish families that settled in Venezuela, bringing with them the culture and refinement of their mother country, a priceless heritage that is still the pride of Venezuela. Throughout all of Venezuela, we are impressed by the diversions of peace, which have come to this country under a democratic form of government. And it is in this connection it is only fitting that we should express a thought in behalf of Simón Bolivar, the great South American liberator, who was born at Caracas in 1783 in this house, which is now one of the historic shrines of Venezuela, perpetuating the memory of the soldier and statesman who led the revolutions which resulted in the independence from Spain of what are now Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, Peru, and Bolivia. Officially invested with the title of Liberator, hero of over 200 thrilling battles, and president of the nation whose name Bolivia was adopted during his lifetime, Bolivar's life presents one of history's most interesting records of adventure and tragedy, glory and defeat. He died penniless at the age of 47 years, and his mortal remains now rest in this national pantheon at Caracas, along with those of many of his generals and other heroes of the South American War of Independence. The battlefield at Carabobo is another national shrine of international significance, for it was here that the decisive battle of the Revolution was fought. On June 24th, 1821, the revolutionists under Bolivar and the Spanish forces under La Torre engaged in a bloody battle which lasted for only an hour, but decided the problems of a century. Among the soldiers who fought on the side of Bolivar was a British company under the command of General O'Leary, and they fought so courageously that Bolivar afterwards referred to them as the saviors of his country. This pretentious monument is a tribute not only to the great battle that was fought here, but to the noble cause for which it was fought, a cause that now embraces South and North America alike in a common bond of understanding, pledging itself forever to protect the freedom and independence of the New World from the dictatorships and feudal wars of the Old World. And it is with this thought that we most reluctantly say, farewell to valiant Venezuela.